We are now getting in the nitty-gritty of this beautiful book, Shemo HaSefer, the book of Exodus. I call it the nitty-gritty because this is the reason why we left Egypt. You know, when we say sometimes about why we left Egypt, you need to look from the beginning at the calling of Moshe Rabbeinu. And you're going to see how our Creator appeared to him, especially in the bush, you know, in the burning bush, the Sinai, and that's the word that Sinai we inherited, you know, that means bush. And in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, in the mountains, in the special mountain. Now, this mountain has different names. One of the other known is Har Sinai, and another call it Har Elohim, the mountain of God. Another is Har Horeb. You know, all these names are talking about the same mountain. This mountain was not the highest mountain in the wilderness, but it was a special mountain that God decided to choose in order to reveal to Moshe Rabbeinu. I had not have time to talk to you about the discoveries and the new ideas and about how we sometimes by tradition we have made a route that it is not a route that the scriptures speak. And finally we are trying to find most of the scholars and most of the people who know archaeologists and all the rest of the people who knows about this area. They have realized that what supposedly was Har Sinai is not Har Sinai. It's not in the Sinai Peninsula, what is the mountain. It's totally the contrary. It's in the other side, it's in the side of Saudi Arabia. This is important for us to know because it also makes a lot of sense when we look about Moab, you know, and we look about the Midianites, where they live in this area of the Midianites. The Midianites live in the other side of the Red Sea. And how they cross, and they needed to cross a sea. They didn't cross a lake or a little river. And the miracle of God sometimes is taking away what he really did. Important to all of us to know is that this was an event that changed completely Israel. Israel needed to become a nation, but in order to become a nation, they needed to receive the word of God in a way that they could accept it and receive it. And they needed to be totally sure that was our Creator who was talking to them. In the religious settings, they call it, there was a theophany. Theophany is a Greek word that means theos, God, and phenomena, manifestation of something very big that happened. A picture that they saw. No? In this theophany, what we can see is that our Creator manifested himself with all his power to the people of Israel, to the point that the people of Israel really were scared. Scared only to this manifestation. Now, this parasha is called Yitro, and this is the beginning of this parasha. There is also discussions among the sages, the scholars, among the rabbis, about if this portion of Yitro is in the real sequence or is not in the sequence, is not chronological, you know. And I am the kind of person that I am not tied to tradition in that way, you know. And I have always said, and I want to speak more about this in other times and maybe today a little bit. It's about that tradition help us to bring us together. But when tradition becomes an obstacle to come closer to God, well, we need to get rid of tradition. And sometimes tradition can be good, and sometimes tradition can be bad. And we are all based only on tradition. What we have formulated is a religion, and we don't have a relationship with the true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Then we need to have a balance. Another thing that I need to specifically to talk today is because today is giving the all the mitzvot, the hukim and mishpatins that is for the people of Israel. And we need to look and read it to them, not in a literal way, but in the functional way, they call it, in the revelatory way, in the way that God is teaching us principles, values, how to live, how to be a better people, how to have life and to have life in abundance. This is important. When Yeshua say, "I have come to have life and life in abundance," he's talking about that he come to give us the Torah back. You know, because that is what is the Torah means. But we need to start getting away from this hocus pocus and many things that we have been learning some very little, or we have increased our fantasy about certain things, and we do not look about the real thing that God did with Israel. Yes, was apotheosis. There has been one experience and never ever has been repeated again. You know, but in this one, what is important is God spoke to his people loud and clearly, to the point that the people were scared to listen to him. Then, why Yitro is put in the beginning before the rest? It's because it is only to finish the portion about Moses' private life, if we can put it that way. You know, there is an understanding, even that in the Torah it's not very clear that he sent or he didn't send back his family. We assume that was the case when he went back to talk to Pharaoh. You know, and there are discussions about that they staying there or they came with him. But these passages, we learn that he sent them back. No? Now, he's bringing back. And it's interesting, this is the first time that we hear about the two children of Moses, they're both made together, Gershom and Eliezer. And each one, as the names are given in the Torah, we see that the children their name has a meaning for the life of Moshe Rabbeinu. Also a very interesting character is Yitro. You know, Yitro, but interestingly enough, it is Yitro has several names in the story that we are going to see, or looks like that it's confused with other characters in the scripture. You have Hobab, you have Jeter, you have Reuel, no, and all those names, you're going to see that they have a reason why they are there. Today, I am not trying to explain everything because it's impossible. Secondly, it's because I want to deal with another issue. But one of the things about Yitro is that Yitro basically acknowledged the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Moses, was a greater God than all other gods. But please be not confused about this. He was not a Christian. And he didn't convert it. Sorry to tell you. Okay? He did not convert it. What he did was he acknowledged and he added one more extra God to his bucket of gods. Okay? And only that he added him in the top. But that was great because he was a hidden priest, and he had at least acknowledged the God of Abraham and Jacob, saying, this God is a greater God. Also, and only a matter of understanding. You know, at that time, most of the gods were regional gods. And those gods only will work in the areas, in regional areas. If you get out of that area, yeah, your God ceases to work or to exist. What was the difference with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? That he didn't need a territory He worked anywhere. And that was, in certain way, what was greater than other gods. You know, sometimes we say, because what he did to Egypt. No, no, no. We need to look at deeper. This is the reason sometimes when you look only at the surface, you miss a lot of things of what is intended the Torah teaching us. Because we need to understand what was the times of what he was giving. Another thing that I want to add it to all of this, we think that Israel was unique in the sense that only Israel, through Moshe Rabbeinu, has all the wonderful laws of the time. You know? And we need to understand this. Many of the laws that we are going to read, many of the, and I'm sorry I am using the word law for a very specific reason, because that's the way that people understand. I would like to teach more about the principles that teach the Torah. No? There were no only for Israel. What I say is, Israel didn't invent it. They were already there, long before Israel. Many of those injunctions, principles, or laws, they wanted to call it. You know, we have other constitutions, and we can call it from other people, other civilizations. They have some of the ones that we are going to find here in these teachings. But what I'm trying to tell you is, our Creator gave it to Israel in such a way that he was the center of the attention, and he was the one that was leading the people of Israel and was making very clear that he is the one that it is taking care not only of his people, but he is the one that is going to show the rest of humanity that through these people what he is and what he is going to do. All of this is very important to understand, especially in this part, in this parasha. Well, Yitro gives, for example, to Moshe Rabbeinu certain instructions. You know, what is teaching here? Moshe followed those instructions. You know, the question is, was Yitro who gave in his wisdom, that's a human wisdom, or was the wisdom of God who gave it to Yitro and Yitro gave it to Moses? You know, all of those things we are speculating and we talk about. You know, many people say only what comes directly from God and if from God, this is good. Let me tell you this, because that's when you are narrow-minded and when you are a fanatic. Okay? From the beginning, we have learned that God created man unto his likeness and image. And when God created man, he gave it this. Secho, understanding, reasoning, capability to think, capability to formulate ideas, capability to communicate. There has not been a wasting of time until Israel was made. Already God has been revealing to the people. We had the stories of the first people that came to the world. You know, we had the story of Methuselah, we had the Enoch, we had the story of Noah. You know, Adam and Eve, all they start learning and they start making principles too. And those principles were given through the revelation of God, of course. Later on comes Abraham, who is called. And God talks to him and shows him and shows what to do. But in being developing, many ideas are developed. For example, the Shabbat didn't start at Har Sinai. Okay? The Shabbat was from the beginning. But our Creator made a point to put it among the principles that were given to Israel to show things that Israel needed to understand and needed to convey and needed to keep. Then, following this way of thinking, let's not be provincial. So let's not think that we are the only one that we have revelation from God. God can reveal to anybody. And God can talk to anybody and through anybody. Even through a donkey he can talk. Okay? Then please, we are human, let's not put ourselves in a pedestal. And we as a nation are chosen people. Let's not consider ourselves better than anybody else. Why? Because God from the beginning, he had a purpose. Another thing I need to add into this introduction, it is that we have male and female. And lately has been Bibles that they call it neutral gender. You know? Because God is not man, God is not female. You know? Then, I want to tell you, I don't have problem with the neutral gender idea. Okay? Because when God made men whose likeness and image, he made men and women. Okay? That means that that's not the problem. The problem is when we're trying to annul gender. Because annulling gender, we get away with murder. Now, gender has a purpose. And God very, very clear gave us gender in order to give us also roles, purpose. The problem today is that we confuse roles with equality. You see, we are equal before God. They're no different. No one is better than the other. That's true. But our roles are different. And my dear ladies, doesn't matter how macho you want to be, you will be a girl. And dear men, how sissy you want to be, you are a man. You know, and this is the problem that we have. Accept your reality. And if there is something wrong with you, well, you know, work on that. But do not blame anybody, or don't try to make your own morality, your own attitude, to make it for everybody else. Because in this parasha, we are going to talk about the 10 suggestions. Today, we cannot call it any longer 10 commandments or the 10 words. Everything is a suggestion. Because today, we need to be theological correct, and we need to be sociological correct, and we need to be political correct. Today, we are afraid to call everything for what it is. I don't mean this, but I am not that persuasion, but I am not trying to tell you that you're wrong. No, it's a constant, apologizing for what is true. Today, now we call the terrorists, you cannot call it terrorists. Freedom fighters. Fighters for truth. Fighting for righteousness and equality. They are criminals, but no, don't call it criminals. They are people that are a little bit upset with the society because we don't do it according to their ways. And what the more civilized societies do, they totally pamper to them. Because you see, it's like a child that has temper tantrum. Today, Dr. Spock told us and has changed humanity that you cannot correct a child because you destroy their ego. You destroy their personality. You destroy your human being, your soul, your nefesh. Then what do? Let the child get away with murder. And you're going to see how good child is going to be when he grows up. He's going to fill it up all the prisons that we are building. Don't teach the child to obey authority, because then you are going to traumatize the child. Then when the child grows up, he doesn't understand what authority is, and he's going to kill a policeman, and then he's going to go to jail. What? Because you didn't want to traumatize the child. Next. Today, we teach you that marriage is not important anymore. You know, man, hook and that's it. If you have a child, let the child grow up. You know, who cares about family? You are free. You can do whatever you want to do. You go here, you go there. You know, we are free to do whatever we want to do, because there is no any longer responsibility. And don't worry. Don't worry. From now on, your family that you're keeping your children, the state is going to take care of your children. And beware. If you trying to correct your children, we put you in jail. Not only that, we take your children out of your house and we send them to a special place where they are going to grow in paradise. Then, when they are teenagers, at the end of this paradise, they become the worst criminals in the world. This is what society is today. You know, I just received an article about that in the United States there is a business that they used to do cakes, bakery, I think, for weddings. And you know, and they came a homosexual couple, and they said, I'm sorry, our principals don't allow us to do a cake for your wedding. You know? They say, they went to the court, and the court now has said, not only they need to pay the homosexual couple a lot of money, but they need to make the cake of clothes. They need to clothes, because they didn't have either the money, nor those things. Because there is no freedom of speech, freedom of belief, no. Now you need to do what the government tells you. Then we are living in a fallacy. No. I have read a lot of articles about what our Creator intended with Israel. If He was implementing democracy, they said. Everybody was co-equal. I love this phrase from my father, and maybe it comes from somebody else, but my father used to say, I believe in equality, but some of us, we are more equals than others. People don't understand those terms. But there is an expression also that says, more is given to you, more is required from you. That means to have means responsibility. You know? And this is the part of being a human being. When God gave it to Israel, when He brought them down from the Har Sinai and gave it we call it the 10 words. By the way, the 10 commandments, the word 10 commandments doesn't exist in the Torah. Okay? And the truth of the matter that there are not 10 commandments. If you read it, the 10 words, they are according to, now look at what I say. According to our sages, our rabbis, when they codify the law, okay, the 613, the Tariag, you know, 14 are the 10 commandments. Okay? I mean, what happened with 10? You know, but there can 14. And you can count it if you want it, and you can enjoy how you count it, how you look it. The problem to me is, you see, man is the one that give you, follow what the scripture. Why did it say 10 words? In 3 occasions. 1 in Exodus, and 2 in Devarim. Use the term 10 words. Why? Because basically, this is in Gematria. 10 means fullness, completeness. Everything has done. You know? There's no more. Because this basic 10 words is the basis of all our understanding this. Everything else we call it commentary or additions about how to do certain things or specific things. But the basic 10 commandments are there. Do you know that in Judaism, traditional Judaism, for the time in the Siddur, in the services, every Shabbat they will read the 10 commandments. Oh, lo and behold, what happened? We do not want that the Gentiles think that we have only 10 commandments. And then they want to think we're the people of only 10 commandments, but we have 613 commandments. Let me ask you this question. Who cares about the Gentiles, what they think or they don't think? Are the Gentiles are going to tell me how I need to worship God? This is the problem of religion. Because religion is more worried about what other people say than what we really have in a relationship with the Creator. These 10 words were given, and each one has a reason and is self-explanatory in certain way. Divided into groups, 5 and 5, interesting. These 5 and 5 are directly to our Creator, and the other 5 is man to man. Now, in this 5 and 5 is divided 3 and 2. The first 3 is man to God. You know, how men need to direct with God. And the 4th and 5th is what God has given to us to deal with us in order that we can honor Him. Let me explain to you. I said to you before, and you already know this portion, but let me repeat it. I always say that in the repetition is the learning. Here we have the 10 commandments, the Torah, or the teachings, or the principles of God, not the laws, because I am getting tired to hear, but Jews and Gentiles, all of them, they call the law. For example, one time I heard a Christian man say to me, you Jews are under the law. I said, give me a break. You too, even if you don't want to. You know? Okay? Not because you deny that you are not under the law. It makes you not under the law. I said, kill someone and want to see it because you believe in Jesus Christ, you are free. Give me a break. All of us, this is a lie that we have perpetuated to all of us. We have made it universal. The truth of the matter is that the principles of God is for us to give us life. And to give us life in abundance. This is the reason that He gave us His Word. And His Word is what is important in this morning. And what it represents to us. And His Word needs to be appropriated. Needs to become part of us. Not in a religious way. Not in a fanatical way. Not in the sense that, I don't think about, I am totally obsessed with that. No. You need to understand it. You need to live it. You need to know why. Okay. And then this portion, you have the three first are called mitzvot. That means commandments. God commanded to men how to worship, how to deal with Him, how to relate to Him. The 4th and 5th commandment are called chukim. Because this goes beyond only simple and rational understanding. The Shabbat is given to us. We ask ourselves, the Shabbat is because of 6 days of creation? Or the Shabbat is because we were slaves and now we are given freedom? Or depending in which part of you read it. You read it from chapter 20 of Shemot, or you read it from chapter 5 of Devarim, Deuteronomy. In Shemot, say, remembering, in chapter 5 of Devarim say you need to guard, to keep it, you know, shomer. What do you think? In Shabbat we have two little lights when we candle with the Jewish candle, two little lights. Because we remember and we keep it. You know? Our sages explaining that the difference in one says to remember and the other says to keep it is because God spoke at the same time both words. You know, only God can speak two words at the same time. I said, no, only God, women too. But here, let me continue. Okay? The Shabbat and to honor father and mother were given by God to us for our own good. Okay? To honor your father and mother, your life will be elongated. You're going to live longer in the land. Why? Because our fathers are a representation of what God has created. Because they gave us life. The problem that many of us, I have, by the way, as a counselor, how many times has I gone through situations of children that they hate their parents. You will be surprised. It's just the opposite. There are more children who hate their parents than children who love their parents, by the way. That's sad, but it's true. But a part of the reason is the environment that we are living. The life that we are having. You know, everything is do whatever you want to do. Do you know, let me go back to this idea because to me it's important what I am talking about. Do you know that right now parents are very lazy? You know, they want that the education will be given by the organization, the schools. You know, the values of the children are at home. And the problem is that the schools are not allowing the children to have values at home. You know, because if you children have different values that in the school, they chastise the child. And the child becomes something like another. And this is a problem that we are facing today. In the United States, in the early 80s, there came a very strong movement in which they call it homeschooling. The problem with homeschooling that sometimes create more evil than right. Why? Because when you isolate your children from the rest of society, you think you are protecting them. At the end, you are damaging them because you do not prepare them to face the world. And when you let them go to the world, they're going to face something that they never ever thought or understood, or they never were able to face. That happened. There are a lot of children right now that they're good children too. In every place you're going to find something good. But most of the children that were homeschooling, they have certain regrets because of that. Because they were not prepared for the world. Parents, we have a great task ahead of us, and it's not easy. And the governments are not helping us, but are going against us. Now, in these 10 suggestions that is called today, you know, they are the basic words for life. I can assure you, if you follow these things, your life is going to be much, much better. But the problem is that we have become too smart. Do you know that in Judaism, in biblical Judaism, there is nothing that is black and white. We walk a lot in the gray area. And then why do we have gray areas? Because God is giving us the opportunity to exercise our will. And we are the one that we need to make the decisions. know, when you have had a problem, you say, God decide for me. And God decided for you. You wanted or no, if you don't hear the voice of God, like many people hear the voice of God, and has a lot of schizophrenic friends that can hear the voice of God, but you know that's the difference. But if you don't hear the voice of God, you need to make a decision. Now, how you make a decision based on what God is teaching you. See, the process, and this is the revelation that God brought us to Har Sinai to tell us. And what the people of Israel were scared to death, and he said, we will do it. We will obey. We will do it. But after that, what happened? Because it's very easy to promise. The problem is to follow up. And this is the reason that we need a community. And we need a community to become responsible to each other and become strengthened by each other. This is what God was forming with Israel at the beginning. You know, have you ever asked yourself this simple question? I have mentioned this before, but it's important that you bring it back. Did God ask Israel to be his people? Or God told them that they don't want to be his people? You know, how many times I have heard this saying, I decided to follow God. You decided? Who are you? You know, and that is the main talking, pride. I do whatever I want to do. Yeah, that's true. And whatever you want to do, that brings you to destruction. Then how do we know that we are going to the right way? Because we have the precedents, we have the principles of God, and that's what the reason that he said, I'm giving this to you in order to have life, to obey me. How many times you can read about the accusations or how God talks to the people of Israel. Read at the end of Vayikra or the end of the Barim. You know, when he says, if you don't do this, you're going to suffer the consequences. And this is what is going to happen to Israel. You know, Israel lost many things because they were disobedient. What is saying Mishlei 3? You know, God as a father, because he loves you, he corrects you. Because he loves you. What do we teach today? Children cannot be corrected. You want to have healthy children? Allow them to get away with murder. Whatever they ask you, give it to them. Okay? And you're going to see how happy children you want to have. What is saying Mishlei? A bad behaved child, what it is? Shame to the parents. This is what Dr. Spock told us. That we are in a new world. We have seen new horizons. Now we are free from anything that holds us back. And what happened? We have destroyed society. You know, start little by little all the values. We believe, for example, in the sanctity of life. You shall not kill. You know? But right now, we are proposing laws about euthanasia in almost all the world. And what is, you know what? It is a financial decision. It's cheaper to kill somebody than to keep it alive. Believe me or not. Money talks, especially if you are in a socialist government. You know, we have become so inconsistent about humanity. We say that we are very human. But we care more about the whales than the children. That tells you how humans we are. We care more about people who destroy society than people who build society. You know, you have more rights if you kill more people. You have less rights if you keep the laws. This is the world that we are living. And this is what God wants to teach us and to show us that we were going to be different. And Israel was chosen as a special people to give, to talk, and to show the presence of God. Let me ask you this question. Has Israel done a good job or no? You know, the greatest religion that we have in the world are all based on the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Judaism, rabbinical Judaism, Christianity, Islam are totally based on the revelation of Har Sinai. But what happened? Each one has done whatever they want to do. Their traditions and their religions are better, and they will tell God what to do. We need to start changing our direction. Our problem is that we have learned in these new generations that we have the right to tell God what to do. And we need to change our mind. God is not our servant. God is our creator. Most of us, we have a God that we keep it in our pocket. Our God of need. Only when I need it, I call him. And we have seen that from the beginning. Let me ask you this question. Did you hear anything from Israel when they were living hunky-dory in Goshen and everything was okay with Joseph? Did they call God, or just read a new note that they were worshiping God and they were getting excited about the presence of God in their lives? No one word. When do you hear them talking about God? Listen, read the scriptures. Because sometimes we fantasize, we idealize, we elevate things that they are not true. Do you know, sadly enough to tell you, the children of Israel who left Egypt were not the crop. Sorry to tell you, they were not the best. Sorry to tell you, oh, you're anti-Semite. I am a Jew, how I can be an anti-Semite? No, you're an anti-Semite Jew. Then give me a break. You know, I am honest. You know, what I like about my people is that they had the opportunity to see the revelation of God. Blessed be him. To all of us. And because of my first people saw that revelation, I can call that revelation my revelation. That's not exciting? That's what our Messiah Yeshua trying to bring to us. But the problem is that he fell in the hands of the Gentiles. He fell in the hands of the Gentiles. Sorry, my Goyim people. But he fell, to me, in the wrong hands. Because they made him something that he was not. And they took away the message that he was giving to the rest. And not only that, but he became the enemy of his own people. For the wrong reasons. Already, any of us, by the way, any of us, you can be Jew or Gentile, that you talk about the ways of God, you become an enemy of the rest. Because they don't like the ways of God. I was talking with some friends about Israel. You want to say what had to do the Ten Commandments with Israel. Remember, Israel was called for a reason, to be light to the world, to be the example, and to bring God to the rest of humanity. The word only, Israel is only the messengers of God. That's the reason that sometimes we can say that the idea of Israel as a type of Mashiach is okay. But I believe in the individual Mashiach, in the personal Mashiach. But Israel was used for that, to be a messenger. And what Israel did, kept the light under the cover. Israel became so stuck up, sorry to tell you, that we are the only one that owns the truth. And we cannot share that truth with anybody else. And we keep the rest of humanity in darkness. We were disobedient to God Almighty, blessed be Him. Why? Because we didn't give the light. Today, our dear rabbis, they teach you openly that only the Jews, they need to keep the Torah, they keep the Shabbat. The Shabbat is not for the rest of the world. It's okay, the Gentiles can do whatever they want to do. Only the Jewish people keep the Shabbat. And all the 613 laws that they have codified, the Torah, is only for them, not for the Gentiles. And they do not dare to touch it because you will be condemned. When in the world you can be condemned to do what is right? If they believe that it's right to keep the Torah, why a Gentile keeping the Torah will do something wrong? Because we have now a very special club. Because we have become a club. And to get in the club is not any longer what God said to get in the club. To get in the club is what men say. How do you get in the club? And even among themselves, they have their own rules. And among themselves, they are fighting. If you are a Gentile, you convert, through whom you converted? Do you convert it to the ultra Orthodox, to the Hasidim, to Natura Carta, to Lubavitcher, to the Breslov? Which one? To the St. Myers? Oh no, you're converted to the conservative. What is that? Yeah. No. And the other guy comes, I am a reform. Reform of what? Look, let me tell you, I am a Messianic Jew. Yeah. No, coach. Do you do the mikvah? What mikvah do you use? Here in the corner or the other side? Because in the corner that's not really kosher. And then you go to the scriptures and you ask, what did the scriptures say that? No one. Then we as Jewish people, we have a lot to really, repent. Okay? But that doesn't excuse the Gentiles. Have you heard about Israel today? Do you know that just last week they passed a condemnation, nothing new, to Israel by the United Nations because they killed a Spanish soldier from the United Nations in the side of Lebanon? Okay? They never ever say why Israel shoot over there. They never ever say what Israel was responding. They never ever say what the other side was provoking. Only Israel is guilty because he killed an innocent soldier who was there to keep the peace between Israel and Lebanon. First of all, I ask this simple question. Is they call it the blue, what do you call it? Helmets, the blue helmets. there.
Peacekeepers.
Peacekeeper. Why they didn't, as soon as Hezbollah was shooting, why they didn't stop Hezbollah? No, they are observers. Okay? Now, when they killed the soldiers of Israel, but no violation of anything. What was the violation? What occurs to Hezbollah? That Israel responded and killed a lot of them. And by the way, they took one of the blue helmets. That he was.
Keeping score.
And he was sure that that side wouldn't do anything to him. Why? Because they were behind them. Exactly the same thing that happened with Hamas in Gaza, with the United Nations schools of terrorists, school of children. You cannot talk about that because it's not politically correct. We have, beautiful enough, I don't know if you have heard the news this week about the judge Shabbat, Canadian judge from human rights. He needed to withdraw from his position because they're writing a condemnation to Israel, you know, and he's one of those anti-Semites that they're writing those things. Israel has been condemning this man over and over. He condemned Israel from the beginning, but the United Nations put him because he was a great jurist. And you know, they discovered that the PLO or Hamas, I don't know which one of the two, were paying him to do a special research for them. This is the problem that we have. Now, do you remember that I talked last week about Amalek? And you're going to say about the principles today, about giving the Torah, what is so important? What Amalek represents. Amalek represents any group, nation, individual group or nation who wants to destroy Israel for the sake of the God that they represent. The problem of the Amalekites was not Israel. The problem of the Amalekites was the God of Israel. The Amalekites thought that because they already left the territory, now Israel was going to be without protection. And they got in a big mistake. Because the God of Israel is the God of the world. And He's everywhere. He is not a territorial God. He is not a provincial God. Because He's the only one God. We go back to the 10 suggestions. I have been trying to teach you in different ways about to read the scriptures and not to be literalist, but to learn about the principles. I have been trying to teach you that Torah doesn't mean law. Torah means principle, guidance, way of life. And the Torah has 3 portions. The mitzvot, the commandments, that I already mentioned, the 3 first ones are commandments. The second group, the 4th and 5th, is the hukim, or the ordinances. God ordained men to do this. I ordain you to keep the Shabbat and to honor father and mother. People say, honor father and mother, that has been already in other codes of civilization. That's true. But not directly by God, directly by men. This is the first time that God is telling us. Third, the last 5 commandments or words or principles. This is men to men. And this is important to understand because this is the mishpatim. This is the portion that means the judgments. This is the legal part. What it means, legal part? In order to understand between you and me, it is where your rights begins, my rise ends, or vice versa. When my rise begins, your rise ends. This is being careful not to go over the other person, to respect organization, to respect different things, the value, the life of other people. It's interesting that in the scriptures it say not to murder. Doesn't mean not to kill, not to murder. What is the difference in murder and killing? Murder is when you do as profess with vengeance and to destroy the life of somebody. Killing means that you have the right to defend yourself. And there is a big difference. This is the problem with the pacifists. They say, God said not to kill. Wait a minute. That means that I need to let the enemy come and destroy me? No. What it means is that you have the right to defend yourself. But you don't have the right to murder other people. And the same way, all all the relationships, all the injunctions, we can call it, that give a mishpatim, this portion that the next parasha interesting going to call mishpatim. We are going to see this judgment to help us to live better with each other. God is going to give us ways how to follow Him. Now, we need to look in the better, little by little, we're going to look in the bigger picture. And this is what I'm trying to tell you about, not to be literalist. Okay, the bigger picture is, when God says something, we need to understand what He says, why He says it, and how we can accomplish that. Now, there are many things that were said for the purpose of keeping Israel a very tight, united group. You know, there is a saying, God wants us together. In Spanish we say, we need to be juntos, pero no revueltos. You know? I don't know how to say in English exactly, but I would say we need to be close together, but no mix, no mélanger. No? What it means is this. Unity doesn't mean uniformity. We are not clones. We do not need to have one uniform. We don't need to be dressed alike. Somebody was asking me this question. Are all the Orthodox Jews rabbis? I said, why do you ask me that question? Well, all they look alike. I said, no, there are some rabbis, there are some professors, there are some this, there are some, they are only businessmen. The uniform is the uniform. How you always say, why they dress in black? Because they are still mourning for the destruction of the temple. Because they are the successors of the Perushim. And how the Perushim dressed at the time of Yeshua? Totally white, because they were pure. What Yeshua said today? You're worse. The whitewashed tombs. From outside very pure, very shiny and nice, and from inside full of rottenness. What he said, another thing it is, don't worry about what you eat, but I worry about what comes out of your mouth. In very general way. Don't worry about what you look. Worry about what you do. We are in a society that is very hypocritical. Our society is more important how do we look than who we are. We all live with a mask. The mask, hypocrisy, that's a term, a Hebrew, a Greek word, hypocrisy, that was used in the theaters. Before, in the Greek theaters, Instead, the actor will make faces, will use mask. If they wanted to laugh, they put a mask with laughing. If they wanted to cry, they put a mask that was crying. That's how they acted at that time. They were hypocrites. To me, hypocrisy is a lie. And what God is giving us is His revelation through His Word. And His Word, it is, do this in order that you have life. We can see it in the negative, and we can see it in the positive way. Our Messiah Yeshua, I love it when he said, something that was very well known in Judaism. Hillel already used it before Yeshua. Hillel used it in the negative way. Don't do unto others that you don't want to do to you. What Yeshua did, do to others what you want them to you. Only from going the negative to the positive give you the opportunity to be pro instead to be anti anything. Be pro-life. Be pro-decency. The problem is here that what God told us to do is out of place. That is behind us. This is the past. We're a new age, a new life. We have evolved. We are not that primitive anymore. We don't need those things. We have evolved. Let people do whatever they want to do. And this is the problem that we have today. Because today, we do not have anything that can carry us to the truth. Only what other people tell us what to do. That's what we need to do. This is the reason that I am waiting more than ever the coming of Mashiach. Because this world needs to change. And he needs to do it soon. Shabbat shalom.